Welcome to For Science Salah Lotfy channel. When you think of Latin America, two things immediately come to mind: football and passion. And if we speak of football legends, two names dominate the stage: Pelé from Brazil and Maradona from Argentina. For decades, fans have argued who was greater, Pelé, the king of skill and elegance, or Maradona, the magician of Napoli and Argentina. Now imagine our channel traveling across Latin America, moving between Brazil and Argentina, not to debate football, but to explore another rivalry, one that plays out inside nuclear reactors. Just like the football icons, nuclear energy has its own giants: the open fuel cycle and the closed fuel cycle. The open cycle is like a team that stops playing at halftime. It stores the used fuel as if the match is already over, safe for now, but wasting the chance to score more goals with the material still inside. The closed cycle, on the other hand, plays the full game. It takes the same fuel, reprocesses it, and brings it back to the field, ready to deliver more energy while reducing dangerous waste. And just as Pelé and Maradona each changed the game of football, advanced fuels like MOX and MNUP are changing the future of nuclear power. MOX recycles plutonium, giving uranium a longer life. MNUP pushes performance even further with higher efficiency and resilience, though it comes with new challenges. Countries like France, Russia, and Japan are already testing these superstar players of the nuclear world. So as our journey through Latin America connects Brazil and Argentina, we also connect the passion of football with the science of nuclear energy. Two rivalries, two paths forward, but both shaping the future in unforgettable ways. In this episode, we'll discover how yesterday's nuclear waste can become tomorrow's clean energy, and why regions like Latin America have the chance to step onto the global stage not just in football, but also in the energy game of the future.
Welcome to For Science Salah Lotfy channel, where science meets curiosity. في هذه القناة لا نكتفي بعرض الأبحاث العلمية، بل نترجمها إلى المعرفة التي تصل إليك أينما كنت. Our mission is to make global scientific research understandable, accessible, and multilingual. جميع الفيديوهات العلمية هنا مترجمة إلى اللغة العربية، بالإضافة إلى لغات عالمية أخرى: French, Spanish, German, Urdu, and more. Because science speaks every language. نعم، العلم يتحدث بكل اللغات، ونحن نحرص أن يصلك بلغتك. If you're passionate about science, you're in the right place. اشترك الآن وابدأ رحلتك مع العلم خطوة بخطوة. For Science Salah Lotfy channel, العلم للجميع.
Welcome once again to For Science Salah Lotfy channel. Behind every important scientific contribution, there are people dedicating their time, effort, and expertise to bring ideas to life. Today, we are proud to introduce the researchers responsible for this work. The first contributor is Ayelen Molina, a professional in nuclear power plants and clean energy generation. She is also a dedicated lecturer, currently pursuing a degree in environmental management and radiological protection. Karen is based in Argentina, where her academic and professional journey reflects her strong commitment to advancing sustainable and safe energy practices. Alongside her, we have Gabriel Andrés Jiménez Amorós, an electromechanical engineer with a master's degree in applications of space technology. He is also a specialist in nuclear technology, bringing a wide perspective that combines engineering, innovation, and advanced applications of science. Gabriel is from Bolivia, and his work connects the fields of nuclear energy and high-tech solutions with regional and global impact. Together, Karen and Gabriel form the team behind this technical report, merging their expertise and perspectives from Argentina and Bolivia. Their collaboration highlights the importance of international and interdisciplinary efforts in the management and reuse of nuclear fuels, a topic that is not only scientific, but also strategic for the future of clean energy worldwide. This episode is dedicated to their work, their vision, and their contribution to the ongoing dialogue about how science can transform challenges into opportunities. Welcome to For Science Salah Lotfy channel. Today, we dive into a subject that often sparks both curiosity and debate: the management and reuse of nuclear fuel. At first glance, Nuclear energy might seem like a story of electricity on one side and dangerous radioactive waste on the other. But the reality is far more complex and far more promising. This technical report we are exploring presents two complementary perspectives. 1. How to manage and reuse spent nuclear fuel in power plants. 2. How advanced fuels like MOX and MNUP can be developed and applied in research reactors. Our goal is to provide a holistic view of a transformative approach to nuclear energy, the closed fuel cycle. This isn't a minor adjustment, it's a fundamental paradigm shift. We'll investigate how advanced fuels and recycling can help us optimize our precious nuclear resources, getting vastly more energy from the material we mine. We'll also see how this dramatically reduces the volume and long-term hazard of nuclear waste. Ultimately, the vision is to build a truly sustainable and secure foundation for global energy, creating a circular economy for nuclear fuel. To understand this revolution, we must challenge a common misconception. When nuclear fuel is removed from a reactor, many assume its useful life is over and it's now just hazardous waste. But this spent fuel is a complex mixture, brimming with potential. Let's break down its composition. The vast majority, about 95%, is actually uranium. It's mostly the isotope uranium-238, which didn't undergo fission, along with some remaining fissile uranium-235. This is an enormous, untapped reservoir of energy that, in a once-through cycle, is destined for permanent disposal. Next, about 1% of the material is plutonium. This element is created inside the reactor when uranium-238 atoms absorb neutrons. While plutonium is a major contributor to long-term radioactivity, it is also an incredibly potent nuclear fuel, especially for advanced fast reactors. It represents a significant energy asset. Then we have the fission products, making up about 4%. These are the atomic ashes left over after atoms split. Elements like cesium-137 and strontium-90 are intensely radioactive and generate significant heat, with half-lives of about 30 years. They are the primary reason spent fuel requires heavy shielding and cooling for the first few centuries and represent the bulk of the short-term hazard. Finally, a very small but critical fraction, about 0.1%, consists of minor actinides. These include elements like neptunium, americium, and curium. Though small in quantity, their impact is immense. These isotopes have extremely long half-lives, stretching from thousands to millions of years. They are the single greatest reason why nuclear waste remains hazardous for geological timescales. So, while this material is undeniably radioactive, it is far from being simple waste. It is a strategic reserve. With the right reprocessing technologies, we can separate these components, recycle the valuable uranium and plutonium back into new fuel, and transmute the long-lived minor actinides. This leaves only the fission products, a much smaller volume of waste that decays to safe levels in a few hundred years, a far more manageable time scale. Open cycle versus closed cycle. Here we come to one of the most significant and debated topics in nuclear energy, the choice between an open fuel cycle and a closed fuel cycle. This isn't just a technical decision. It's a fundamental choice about long-term strategy, resource management, and environmental stewardship. Let's start with the open fuel cycle, sometimes called the once-through approach. This is currently the most common method used globally, adopted by countries like the United States and, as we've seen, Argentina. The philosophy is straightforward. Nuclear fuel is used once in a reactor, and then designated as high-level waste. After its operational life of about 3 to 5 years, the spent fuel is removed from the reactor core. It's still incredibly hot and radioactive, so it's first submerged in deep pools of water, which act as both a coolant and a radiation shield. After several years of cooling, it's transferred to massive, robust, dry cask storage containers. These are typically huge cylinders of steel and concrete, designed for safe, passive, long-term storage on-site at the power plant. This approach is relatively simple and less expensive in the short term. However, it has two major drawbacks. First, it continuously builds up stockpiles of spent fuel that require monitoring for millennia. Second, it fails to take advantage of the immense energy still locked inside. In fact, only about 5% of the potential energy in the uranium fuel is used in a typical reactor. The remaining 95% is a mix of unused uranium and other valuable elements, which, in an open cycle, are simply treated as waste. The closed cycle, by contrast, is built on the principle of recycling. Instead of being permanently stored, the spent fuel is sent to a reprocessing facility. Here, through a chemical process, most commonly the Purex process, the spent fuel is dissolved and its components are separated. About 95% of the material is recoverable uranium, which can be re-enriched to produce new fuel. About 1% is plutonium, created inside the reactor, which is a powerful energy source. This separated plutonium is mixed with uranium to create a new type of fuel called mixed oxide fuel, or MOX. This MOX fuel can then be used in many existing reactors, turning what was once considered waste into a valuable asset. The benefits are substantial. Recycling fuel can reduce the need for mining fresh uranium by up to 25%. More importantly, it dramatically changes the waste profile. The closed cycle reduces the final volume of high-level radioactive waste by about 80%. The remaining waste, which is vitrified into a stable glass form, also has a significantly shorter radiological lifespan, decaying to the background radiation level of natural uranium ore in a few hundred years, rather than hundreds of thousands. Of course, the closed cycle is not without its significant challenges. Reprocessing facilities are technologically complex and incredibly expensive to build and operate, requiring massive upfront investment. Furthermore, the separation of plutonium raises serious nuclear proliferation concerns. This weapons-usable material demands exceptionally strict regulation, robust infrastructure for transportation, and rigorous international oversight to prevent diversion or theft. This security concern is a primary reason why some nations have opted to stick with the open cycle. Yet, despite these hurdles, countries like France, Russia, and Japan have adopted this approach. France, in particular, is a world leader, having safely reprocessed fuel for decades and integrated MOX into its national energy grid. They see it as the most sustainable and logical path forward. The choice between open and closed cycles remains a complex trade-off between short-term economics and security risks versus long-term resource efficiency and waste management. As the world continues to grapple with energy independence and environmental responsibility, this debate is more critical than ever. Around the world, different strategies are being developed and tested. In France, Russia, and Japan, industrial-scale reprocessing plants, such as La Hague, Mayak, and Rocasho, use chemical processes like Purex to recycle spent fuel. At the same time, new technologies are emerging. DUPIC, direct use of PWR spent fuel in CANDU reactors, bypassing complex chemical processes. Fast reactors, capable of consuming minor actinides and even regenerating fuel, offering a potentially limitless cycle. ADS, accelerator-driven systems, experimental systems that aim to transmute highly radioactive waste into isotopes with shorter lifespans, making long-term storage safer and more manageable. Advanced fuels, MOX and MNUP. Two advanced fuels stand out in the current research landscape. MOX, mixed oxide fuel, a blend of uranium dioxide and plutonium. It recycles plutonium from spent fuel, reducing stockpiles while extending the lifetime of natural uranium. However, it comes with challenges such as lower thermal conductivity, more complex reactivity behavior, and safety concerns during handling. MNUP, mixed nitride uranium-plutonium fuel, a combination of uranium and plutonium nitrides. It offers higher thermal conductivity, greater density, longer operational cycles, and improved resistance under irradiation. On the downside, it is chemically reactive, difficult to manufacture, and demands stricter safety protocols. MOX fuel is already in use in commercial reactors in France, Japan, Germany, and Russia. It can replace 30–50% of standard fuel elements in these reactors. MOX has also been tested in fast reactors, such as the EBR-2 in the United States and the BOR-60 in Russia. MNUP, however, remains experimental. It has been tested in fast reactors like BOR-60 in Russia, Phoenix in France, and Joyo in Japan. Results show strong performance, including high thermal conductivity and stability under irradiation. But risks of nuclear proliferation and industrial manufacturing difficulties remain obstacles to widespread adoption. The message is clear. Spent nuclear fuel should no longer be considered just waste. Instead, it represents a strategic resource with enormous potential. The conventional once-through fuel cycle is incredibly inefficient, akin to discarding a battery that's still 95% charged. By embracing a circular economy model for nuclear energy, we can unlock this vast, untapped reserve. This paradigm shift fundamentally changes our relationship with nuclear materials, paving the way for a more secure and sustainable energy future, where we treat used fuel not as a final problem, but as the beginning of a new cycle. By moving towards closed fuel cycles and developing advanced fuels like MOX and MNUP, we can unlock profound advantages. First, we make better use of uranium and plutonium resources. Reprocessing recovers these valuable materials to create new fuel, multiplying the energy extracted from the original uranium and reducing the need for new mining. Second, we reduce the volume and long-term risks of high-level radioactive waste. The process isolates the most hazardous elements, decreasing the final waste volume by up to 80% and shortening its hazardous lifespan from millennia to centuries. This makes final disposal safer and more manageable. Finally, we strengthen technological and energy sustainability. This approach drives innovation, enhances energy independence by creating a domestic fuel source, and bolsters a nation's resilience against volatile global energy markets. For Argentina and Latin America, this is more than a technical debate, it's a strategic imperative. With their history in nuclear operation and development, they have a unique opportunity to lead. By aligning with global trends, the region can become a strategic player in advanced nuclear fuel management. This isn't just about adopting technology, it's about leveraging existing expertise to foster a hub of nuclear innovation. This path promises significant economic growth, high-tech employment, and greater energy security for the entire region, all while contributing to global climate goals and reinforcing non-proliferation efforts through responsible stewardship of nuclear materials. On For Science, Salah Lotfy channel, we believe these conversations are essential, not only for scientists and engineers, but for everyone interested in how the future of clean energy is being shaped. Nuclear energy is not just about power plants and reactors. It's about decisions that will define the next century of energy, sustainability, and global collaboration. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Welcome back to For Science Salah Lotfy channel. In a world grappling with an ever-increasing demand for energy, the quest for clean, reliable, and sustainable power has never been more critical. We're constantly balancing the benefits of different energy sources against their environmental and economic costs. Nuclear energy stands as a titan in this arena, a source of immense carbon-free power, but one that also presents unique and complex challenges, particularly concerning its fuel. In our previous discussion, we introduced the broad idea of managing and reusing nuclear fuel. But what happens when that fuel is spent? Is it simply waste to be buried and forgotten for millennia? Today, we're going to challenge that very notion. We will take a deeper look at this fascinating subject through the lens of a technical report entitled Gestión y Reutilización de Combustibles Nucleares. This report isn't just a dry academic paper, it's a roadmap to a more intelligent and sustainable nuclear future. When nuclear fuel is removed from a reactor, it's called spent fuel, but that name is misleading. In reality, only a small fraction of its potential energy has been used. Over 95% of it is still valuable uranium and plutonium, which can be recovered and reused. The remainder is a cocktail of fission products, which constitute the high-level radioactive waste. The core idea we'll explore is how to separate the treasure from the trash. This report, and our journey today, is structured around two complementary perspectives that bridge the gap between current industrial practice and future innovation. It's a look at both the here and now of large-scale power generation and the what's next on the frontiers of nuclear science. First, we'll examine the management and reuse of spent nuclear fuel in today's commercial power plants. This is the logistical and engineering heart of the matter. We'll explore the entire post-reactor journey of the fuel, from its initial cooling in vast, shielded water pools to its transfer into robust dry cask storage for long-term safety. Crucially, we'll delve into the technology of reprocessing, the chemical process that unlocks the potential of spent fuel by separating the reusable uranium and plutonium from the true waste products. This is where the cycle begins to close. Second, we'll pivot to the cutting edge, the analysis of advanced fuels being tested in research reactors. Here, we'll introduce two game-changing technologies. The first is MOX, or mixed oxide fuel. This fuel is created by combining the plutonium recovered from reprocessing with uranium, effectively turning a waste product into a valuable new energy source. The second is an even more advanced concept, MNUP, or mixed non-uranium plutonium fuel. This next-generation fuel is designed not only to generate power, but also to transmute or burn up some of the most long-lived and hazardous elements in nuclear waste, potentially reducing its radioactive lifespan from hundreds of thousands of years to mere centuries. So, what's the ultimate goal? The objective of this work is to provide everyone, from professionals in the sector to the curious public, with an integrated vision of our nuclear future. By understanding how closed nuclear fuel cycles and new fuel technologies work together, we can see a clear path toward optimizing our use of natural resources, drastically reducing the volume and longevity of nuclear waste, and strengthening our long-term energy sustainability and security. This isn't just theoretical science. It's a practical blueprint for a cleaner, more efficient, and safer world. Let's begin. Spent nuclear fuel, more than just waste. One of the first points the report highlights is that spent nuclear fuel is not simply waste. Its composition includes around 96% unburned uranium, which can be recovered for new fuel cycles, fissile plutonium isotopes, such as Pu-239 and Pu-241, created during reactor operation, fission products like cesium-137 and strontium-90, which cause high initial radioactivity, minor actinides, americium, curium, neptunium, that dominate long-term radiotoxicity. Yes, it is radioactive and hazardous, but if managed properly, it becomes a strategic resource that can fuel new cycles of clean energy rather than being abandoned as useless waste. Open versus closed fuel cycles. When we talk about nuclear energy, the journey of the fuel itself is a critical part of the story. This is known as the nuclear fuel cycle. The report from the Argentine National Atomic Energy Commission contrasts two fundamentally different strategies for managing this cycle. First, the open fuel cycle. This is the approach currently used in Argentina, as well as in countries like the United States and Canada. It's called open because it's a one-way street. Uranium is mined, fabricated into fuel, used once in a reactor, and then designated as waste. This spent fuel is first cooled for several years in deep, shielded water pools. Once cool enough, it's transferred to massive, robust, dry cask containers made of steel and concrete for long-term storage. While this method is proven to be safe and is technologically simpler, it presents a long-term challenge. The inventory of spent fuel continuously grows, and we effectively discard a vast energy resource as over 95% of the potential energy remains locked within the used fuel. In stark contrast is the closed fuel cycle. This strategy views spent fuel not as waste, but as a valuable resource. The cornerstone of the closed cycle is reprocessing, a sophisticated chemical process, like the Purex method, that separates the components of spent fuel. About 97% of the material can be recovered. The recovered uranium can be re-enriched and fabricated into new fuel. More importantly, the plutonium, which is created during the reactor's operation, is extracted and mixed with uranium to create what's known as mixed oxide, or MOX fuel. This recycled fuel can then power existing reactors, creating a circular energy economy. The benefits are substantial. It dramatically reduces the need for new uranium mining, conserves natural resources, and shrinks the volume of final high-level waste by more than 80%. The most radioactive elements are vitrified, immobilized in a stable glass form, making them easier and safer to manage for final disposal. However, closing the cycle is not without its hurdles. It requires immense financial investment in complex reprocessing facilities and stringent international oversight to manage proliferation risks associated with separated plutonium. Several nations have embraced this long-term vision. France, a global leader in nuclear power, has been reprocessing its fuel for decades at its La Hague facility, generating a significant portion of its electricity from recycled materials. Russia is advancing the concept further with fast reactors designed to efficiently consume plutonium. Japan also pursues a closed cycle to enhance its energy security. For any nation, the choice between an open and closed cycle is a strategic one, balancing short-term simplicity against long-term sustainability, resource independence, and waste management. International options and technologies. The report also points to global experiences and emerging innovations. Industrial reprocessing plants in La Hague, France, Mayak, Russia, and Rokasho, Japan, use Purex processes to separate uranium and plutonium. At the same time, new technologies are being explored. DUPIC, direct use of PWR, spent fuel in CANDU reactors, fast reactors, capable of consuming minor actinides and regenerating fuel. ADS, accelerator-driven systems, studying the transmutation of high-activity waste into isotopes with shorter lifespans. These approaches share one purpose: to close the nuclear cycle and minimize environmental impact. Advanced fuels, MOX and MNUP. The report dedicates significant attention to two advanced nuclear fuels. MOX, mixed oxide fuel, a mixture of uranium dioxide and plutonium. It recycles plutonium from spent fuel, reduces stockpiles, and extends the life of natural uranium. However, it has lower thermal conductivity, more complex reactivity, and handling risks. MNUP, mixed nitride uranium-plutonium fuel, combines uranium and plutonium nitrides, offers excellent thermal conductivity, higher density, longer cycles, and better performance under irradiation. But it is difficult to manufacture, chemically reactive, and requires stricter safety measures. Both fuels represent the next stage of nuclear innovation, bridging today's energy needs with tomorrow's sustainability goals. Conclusion. The key message of the report is simple, yet powerful. Spent nuclear fuel should be seen as a resource, not just a residue. Adopting closed cycles and developing advanced fuels like MOX and MNUP provide greater utilization of uranium and plutonium, a significant reduction in high-activity waste, progress toward energy independence, and technological sustainability. For countries like Argentina and across Latin America, this is a major opportunity to join global efforts and position themselves as strategic players in advanced nuclear fuel management. This isn't just about generating electricity, it's about achieving true energy sovereignty and reducing reliance on volatile fossil fuel markets. By embracing technologies like the DUPIC cycle, nations with established nuclear programs, such as Argentina with its Atucha and Embalse reactors, and Brazil with its Angra plant, can leverage their existing infrastructure. They can transform spent fuel from a liability into a valuable asset, fostering a domestic industry around fuel recycling, creating high-tech jobs, and driving economic growth. This path also strengthens their commitment to non-proliferation, demonstrating responsible stewardship of nuclear materials on the world stage. This brings our deep dive into the technical aspects to a close, but the journey of discovery and collaboration is ongoing. A comprehensive analysis like the one we've discussed is never the work of a single individual. It represents a confluence of expertise, dedication, and shared vision. Therefore, at this point, I would like to pause and extend my heartfelt thanks to the brilliant minds who made this report possible. On behalf of myself, Professor Dr. Salah Lotfy from the Egyptian Atomic Energy Authority, I want to express my profound gratitude. I sincerely thank Ayelen Molina, whose meticulous work on the economic modeling and proliferation resistance analysis provided the robust framework for our conclusions. Her insights were invaluable. I also extend my deepest appreciation to Gabriel Jiménez Amorós for his exceptional contributions on the technical feasibility and waste management aspects. His deep understanding of reactor physics and fuel cycle chemistry was instrumental in validating our approach. Their combined dedication and vision have produced a report that we believe makes a significant contribution to the global conversation on sustainable nuclear energy. And of course, this journey would be incomplete without you, our engaged and curious audience. Your thoughtful comments, your challenging questions, and your passion for understanding the world around us are the fuel that powers this channel. Many of you have previously asked about the long-term strategies for nuclear waste, and it is precisely that kind of insightful engagement that inspired us to explore this topic in such depth. Your support drives us to keep exploring and sharing knowledge from around the world. Now, I want to turn the conversation over to you. Please don't forget to leave your comments below. What are your thoughts on the Dupix cycle? Do you see it as a practical solution for managing spent fuel, or do you believe other technologies hold more promise? For our viewers in countries with nuclear programs, how do you see this fitting into your national energy strategy? I genuinely look forward to reading your thoughts, your questions, and your unique perspectives. Your feedback is not just appreciated, it is an essential part of this channel's mission to foster an informed global dialogue. If you found this exploration valuable, please consider subscribing and sharing it with others who are curious about the future of energy. The challenges we face are global, but so is our capacity for innovation and collaboration. By engaging in these discussions, we are all active participants in shaping a sustainable future. Together, let's continue building a space where science connects and empowers us all.